Whispers float in empty halls. Footsteps echo down the walls. Shadows break where secrets lie. Every echo holds a hidden sign. Blow the trace along the crime, a hush that haunts the night, a fear that lives in light. Unravel lines of twisted lies. In the dark, the story waits unseen.
And here we go.
Hi, I'm Rochelle, the Psychic Sleuth. Spirit shows me patterns across past, present, and future. What comes through can be symbolic, metaphoric, or not always literal, though sometimes it is. Messages often carry multiple meanings that weave together through energetic tracking, prophetic sequencing, and blueprint mapping. I know I talk fast sometimes, it's just how spirit flows through me. You can always replay or slow down if you need to. I triple check what I receive with astrology and cards, but this isn't about being 100% right. It's about truth, responsibility, and integrity. I'm the one sitting with spirit on these cases, so this is a space for truth seeking, not debate. Please respect the work. If you can't honor spirit, this may not be the place for you. And before we start, I want to make something clear. My process has evolved for a reason. I don't use sitters anymore. I don't do live channeling on heavy cases, and I won't be performing on command. That's not safe, it's not accurate, and it pulls the work off track. I work the way spirit directs me, through mediumship, pattern recognition, astrology validation, cards when needed, and prophetic sequencing. Every layer strengthens the message and protects the integrity of the case. Please don't tell me how to do my job. This isn't about entertainment. It's about truth, responsibility, and helping families. If my style isn't for you, that's okay. But this is how I work, and this is how the work stays accurate. If my work resonates, the best way to help is through community support for Justice's Cadaver Dog Training Fund. It doesn't take huge donations. Even the cost of a coffee adds up when many give. Shop new merch and help Justice on his mission. Links to my shop and donation page are pinned below. Every purchase helps fund the work. Thank you for being here. Now let's get on to today's case. Hey guys, I'm back. So thank you for being patient with me while I took a little bit of time. I've had a lot going on energetically and stuff. I'm feeling a little bit better, but your support is very much appreciated. So make sure that you're liking and commenting on my videos when you have free time. It keeps my algorithm going. I'm way behind, so it does help me in the channel so much. So I appreciate you. Okay, so this video, this is an auto write, so I'm going to be reading it. Okay, I will try to read it as slow as I can. I did talk about previously that sometimes I do talk fast, and that's just me. So you can slow me down with the settings on YouTube. But I will try to go as slow as I can. I get a little disoriented when I'm reading these things for some reason. If I get anything extra, I will let you know. Okay? This is my auto-write interpretation. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. All of that. This is not factual. This is only psychic medium impressions. And tomorrow, or hopefully soon, I will break down each astrology timestamp and explain to you how this makes sense. My EMF going crazy. I actually had to do this in 3 separate stages because the narrative is so loud. I was second guessing everything, and so I was having a hard time. My mind was getting in the way, which tends to happen. I've got a lot of air in my chart. I second guess everything. I overguess everything. And so I always want to make sure it's accurate. There's a lot of pressure here. Okay. And what I'm saying is a lot of different from what other people are saying. So, but it's not changed since the beginning, and it won't change because my first impression was clear. So I'm going to read this to you. If you don't agree with, I won't even go into who I actually call in, but there's more descriptions and videos about this on my channel. I'm just going to read you guys what I have. Okay. Everything is up to interpretation, how you perceive the information, things like that, which I do explain prior. So make sure that you listen to the beginning part of this video. It does explain how I work. Also, there's a video explaining how auto writes work in my videos. I believe it's in the teaching subjects. So if you want to check that out. Okay, so again, this is in the beginning of my videos, but just to remind you that this is an auto write, using a shadow guide to walk into the darkest of places. There is no one better to profile crime than someone that committed many, who has lived his soul contracts and now resides in the light. He has helped and been accurate in many cases, and it's a soul contract to help with this type of work. Crime is dark, and it helps me straddle the realms of light and dark and come back with myself intact. This is a video about there is a video about why I work with this spirit in my videos. There is a soul contract here that only he and I understand. We are not the same in spirit as we are on earth. This has been okayed by spirit. If you're not okay with that, then this is not the channel or video for you. Keep in mind, information that comes in can be past, present, future. Not everything that comes in this auto write may fit this case. I need you to understand that there is a video describing how auto writes work, and it may be handy to watch and understand. We do not try to make things fit. Usually he is good at keeping me on track, but he has brought in other cases before. Auto writing is a deeper channel, but also because of that, it is not always linear. Cases aren't linear in general. Information comes in puzzle pieces. Sometimes they move, and sometimes past, present, future. We only get what we're supposed to have in the time we were supposed to have it due to karma, timing, all of that. There are rules to this work, which I think people don't understand. Things can be symbolic and not always literal, and sometimes even metaphoric. It's been a while since I've done a channel like this, so we will see how it goes. So I need to remind people about what I mentioned can be puzzle pieces. So just because I describe one person doesn't mean, and then I describe something else, it doesn't mean it all belongs to that person. The names can be connections. So remember, spirit gives connections and ways for you to figure out who is involved. So I need people to understand that, because people always jump to conclusions and then they try to make things fit, etc. Keep in mind that these are just visions. I'm not accusing anybody. This is what I'm being shown. And I found out today that some of it matches with evidence that I was not aware of. So that's the only reason I decided to release this. I thought about not releasing it. I went back and forth. I actually did it last night. And I thought about not releasing it today because it's very vivid, but also very specific. And there's always that fear of not being correct in what I'm seeing. But you can't change what you see, so that's just the way that it is. So, and I just wrote everything, so I'm just going to read it as it is, all right? So I don't know why we're starting with this, but I'm going to go with it because I'm struggling with all of the noise, misdirection, and I've already seen, etc. So it's hard to have a clear channel. This should have been done in the beginning. Doesn't change what I have originally got, but I always see things for a reason, even if I misunderstand. The first ping I got on, I'm getting a headache all of a sudden, February 2nd, when asked during a live to work on Nancy's case. I had no intention of working on Nancy's case, but I was hit with a wave of nausea. The EMF spiked. Man, that thing is really going off a lot. And I was shown Nancy with someone below her, like a son. That's how I interpret what mediumship is. When we went to investigative mode, and saw the son-in-law, the readings have had them in it, and the EVPs have said name multiple times. He seems central in this, and I just hope that I've been seeing correctly, because I seem to be the only one saying this wasn't really a kidnapping, but more of a cover-up. This was before we knew about him dropping her off, or anything for that matter, or the narrative. So that was a clean mediumship. So I'm trying not to block myself for fear that I've been misunderstanding what I've been seeing, but we can't ignore the immediate hit. What I originally saw. Can't ignore that. Came in clean. There's a reference to horse racing. I see someone who isn't very good at it. The betting part of it. There's also a reference to card tables and casinos. I feel a debt that seemed to get out of control. I also see someone that is pouring powder from a pill into drinks and food. I feel that Nancy was being was beginning to get worse for some reason. I don't know if her pacemaker was having issues or there was abnormalities with it going on, because they showed me abnormal readings of a heart monitor. There's a reference to a darker nightlife or someone who is gone down a different road. They show me two paths. One is light and one is dark. This person is walking down the dark path. The choice that they made in life, and it feels like a spiral began last year. There feels like a downward sort of spiral. Someone who wasn't making good choices and decisions, that would stay out at night and seem to be having affairs. There's a reference to needing money, asking Nancy, and Nancy putting her foot down. Keep in mind, this is spirit energy right here. It's called an EMF detector. But they show me the family tree. So I'm wondering, was there a family member that we're not aware of? Someone that was a child that wasn't seen by Nancy as that or known about? I'm not sure. I understand that. If she had another kid, if he had another kid, if they were put up for adoption, or they're like a ghost part of the family. If this is a family secret, I'm not sure. Honestly, it doesn't make sense right now, but hopefully it will. There's a revenge element here, and also you owe me element. It has nothing to do with Savannah. The obsession isn't geared towards her. I'm hearing the words, all roads lead back to Tomato. In whatever way that means, he's central here. And I know what I've seen, but my visions have been blurry. But it doesn't come across that Nancy was completely safe when she was dropped off. That I do feel, in some aspect, the garage door was to set an alibi, a timeline, because I don't feel that he ever used the garage. That was highly unlikely. It was highly unlike a normal drop-off, as the garage door keeps pinging me. I'd be curious if this was normal behavior or different that night. I hear the words set up and inside job. I also feel like there was an element of coming together for one thing and to make something look like it wasn't. It's like something it wasn't. There was acting involved, whether the video was pre-recorded or acted out that night. I've always felt the weapon was a prop or not real. If it was real, it didn't have bullets in it, it wasn't usable. You're seeing what they want you to see, because no one ever had to be seen. That's the thing. That's the element that is being pushed about all of this. No one ever had to see kidnappers because the back door was left open and unlocked. Nancy didn't come to the door. She wouldn't open the door for someone in a mask. I feel, though, that something was given to Nancy at some point. Either she was being given something like Caltrate stated in the EVP, or something else to make her weaker. But it feels like things weren't happening fast enough. I keep thinking two things happening that night. The way it comes across, I don't know. I hear family affair. I kind of get blocked because I'm questioning earlier readings. But he just told me he's involved, but he's not the only one. He says these are hired actors. Kind of like a hitman, but a hit had already taken place, if that makes sense. There was a secret involved, a family secret. There is a son, I don't know, somewhere in the family that isn't accounted for. Like he was not seen as family, he was not accepted, something of that sort. I also hear the words brothers, so I don't know what aspect that makes sense. It doesn't have to be blood. There's a reference to similarity of using the idea, using the app that isn't really traceable, like Signal or something, to set up a Bitcoin scam. This was never kidnapping for ransom. That was just to get people to look that way. There was a plan in place, but also that night it feels impulsive. For some reason, it feels like, again, it doesn't feel like to me that I've never seen that blood was going out of the house as much as it was coming in. Going out wouldn't have been concentrated at the door. It would have been stepped in, etc. So if she was wrapped up and it was dropped, it wouldn't. Whatever she was wrapped up in would catch that. So that doesn't make any sense. I'm being shown that Nancy had a bloody nose in the car. Something that was given to her that night. I don't know if it was some sort of drugs that was put in a meal or what. There is also many moving parts, so many web of lies, and so many entangled energies along with this fog that it's very hard to read. Probably one of the hardest cases yet. It's so simple. At least it feels like we are making it more complicated than it is, if that makes sense. But I see Nancy not feeling great in the car. It feels like she had a bloody nose because I can see him handing her a towel or something for her bloody nose. I do know she was on blood thinners. She could have had high blood pressure at that point. I kept seeing her kind of having a drip down as she walked down the driveway. And as she goes into the house, it's sort of dripping a lot by the entrance. I can see a reference to a key. So I don't know if this is her trying to put in the key or what that is, but I always get a key. Now, see, her nose didn't start gushing. It started bleeding slowly. And it seems like when she put her head down, it got concentrated at the door. Nancy was smart. She was never going to open the door, or she never opened the door for some masked figure at the door. That's why that doesn't make sense. She wouldn't have gotten in the car with anybody. None of that makes sense. It doesn't match the struggle. But the struggle would have been at the door if that was true. But that doesn't make sense either. It's not all swooshed about. But I see him follow her in, acting as if he's worried about her. But there is something that has come up about something she has found out in regards to his personal life and also finances. He was helping and in control of in some aspect. Nancy also noticed that there were ways that she felt after visiting or after certain times. She had loved him like a son, but she was wondering why she always felt off. She wanted to confront him with the things that she had figured out. I'm seeing the board with red lines, like they're drawing attention to connections. I don't know if there had been someone she allowed to stay in the guest house that connected like family, was like family. That seems to be a puzzle piece of someone like a son, or that was a son that was not treated as such. I don't know if Nancy leaned over the sink, but I can see that. I can also see where someone gets enraged. There is a heat of the moment, but someone who can lose their cool in the blink of an eye, but also come off as cool, calm, and collected. Almost like a dual type persona. Nancy was the ultimate mark. The whole family was in a way. Someone can weasel their way in because of how helpful Nancy tried to be. There is a rapport that was made between someone staying there and T, is what that feels like. I don't know why I hear the words 2 degrees of separation, not necessarily with Nancy and the person, but with T and the person. I know that's a criminal term, but I keep thinking the dropping off timeline doesn't make sense. I feel like it happened earlier. They keep taking me. Remember that apparently her 10 o'clock meds weren't taken. There's a reason for that. Either she didn't feel good and went to bed, or she wasn't able to. I don't think she forgot. I'm getting the reference to an alarm or something that reminded her that they were in place, that she would always see them and take them. They were necessary. She wasn't one to forget her meds, and she needed them badly. But there feels like an altercation. I don't know. I just feel like anger because something that he was confronted with. I don't know if the conversation started in the car or something of that sort when they were alone, because that's how it comes across. I don't know what Nancy had found out beforehand and had kept silent till they were alone. Or there had been, I'm getting something with like underhanded dealings is the words that I'm hearing, but also there's something with selling off things, the gambling issue, the money issues, and something where someone started using some sort of substances. I also feel like he wanted to blackmail her with something, or just kind of threatened her with it. The plan was in place a while ago, but it feels like impulsive at the same time. It feels like it had been put into place a while. I hear the words betrayal and caught off guard. There's sort of struggle that ensues, and I always get a reference to the head, a possible stroke, but also I can't breathe, choking, strangulation, smothering sensation. It was more Nancy being weak than trying to get away. It feels like things were knocked over, excuse me, knocked off tables, etc. There is a reference to her couch, a pillow. I get like a straddling, a choking, and then a smothering. I can see him standing over her with his hands on his head looking down. There is a reference to grabbing some gloves. I don't know if they had some. there for caretaking under the sink or whatever. But I feel like how close the living room is to the bedroom, or I'm not sure how close it is to the bedroom, but there's a reference to holding her under the arms and dragging her to place her in bed. There is something about wiping her down or using something to spray on her to clean the DNA, but I feel like he put her in bed and kind of wrapped her up, and I can hear tape. I heard that before. So there's a reference again to hearing you're not dying fast enough. The back of my head hurts. I pulled up Nancy's picture to see if she can help, and I am questioning everything right now. But I've never been able to see anything else. But I see him going through the cabinets. I don't know if this is to wipe things down or what, to clean things. There is a piece of paper that I am seeing with writing on it. It looks like Nancy's writing. I don't know if it is in a safe or in a safe place that's important. I think it has something to do, something about if anything happens to me, or maybe I am side-eyeing my family or something of that sort. But she has her thoughts or a letter written out. And if police found it, it would answer some questions about what was going on. At this time, it feels like something was done with the cameras. I don't know if something was deleted or what, but I can see him looking around to see what else he can do with the scene. There's a reference to beep beep, either the garage door or the car, like when it's locked and you unlock it. Maybe it's symbolic for me just to understand. I feel like he drove the car in, waited a couple minutes, and drove out. I keep seeing a meeting with a few people that were involved with this. Like, that came in before. I don't know if that's like on a distance or what the heck, or if that has anything to do with this, or if it's just something, regarding money issues or whatever. So I don't know if it's symbolic or not. I always felt like the garage door was to set a timeline. And again, I'd be curious if it was ever used before. Again, there's no video camera to show that she ever got in okay. There was equipment that was gotten at some point to stage. And there's an element we have to make it look like a kidnapping for ransom, because the first people they're going to look at are closest to her. See, I'm questioning even this channeling now because of what I already think. But I know I'm not making it up. I keep trying to see her dropped off safely every time I see the same thing. Then I try to see a kidnapping of a random person and I can't. It always comes across as staging, being involved, actors playing a part and helping possibly dispose. The back door was left open on purpose. I have such a hard time seeing the doorman. It just feels like an act, because what keeps playing around in my mind is, why even be seen? Why cover the camera with plants if you're going to take it anyway? Why take someone out the front when you have a back door open? None of that makes sense on some kind of kidnapping. I also think the jammer or magnet or something electronic was what was used to make an interruption in the pacemaker earlier around 1 something. Is there someone that maybe was like a brother that we don't know about? I keep getting a word twin, so I don't know if that's like made to look like someone or looks alike. I also feel like things were picked intentionally to make it look like another group or another pack. We keep getting there's 3 involved in some aspect, and I also get a reference to darker underworld, which I don't think Nancy approved of. I get a reference to there was originally different plans. One was slowly give her things. It feels like health started going downhill anyway, and that she was having more issues getting around. The timeline moved up because I don't know if he owed some bad people or what, and that is one reason why I am also wondering if Nancy had a stash in a safe or somewhere that was gotten, or that she had that no one's aware of that was taken. The police don't know anything was taken because they don't know about it, and maybe only one person did, but it feels like hidden stash, or there would have been hidden stash. So there would be no forced entry to it. There were also papers that I feel she had put somewhere. I don't know if that's what they're trying to frame around the group or what. There is something about a guest that was mad at her for some reason. I don't know what that's about. But I really can't get much on that, if they're involved or not. But I can't get away from the man who masks emotional volatility between an artistic or teaching persona. His charm, music, and gentle demeanor may hide deep inner tension, a conflict between action and allure. This tension can erupt when control, admiration, or ego are challenged, especially in private spaces. It feels like this is all started in August of last year time frame. I don't know if something happened that made him start to think, or something happened that started to make things sort of spiral in life. I feel like this person is good at hiding who they are, what their true natures and intentions are. I feel like everyone is focused on the narrative that they want everyone to focus on because the eyes had to go in another direction. People had to look a different way. What better than some sort of kidnapping because of who Savannah was? But again, there are secrets, family secrets. There are a few different motives here. Look, I try to see another situation because the narrative is so loud. I try to see someone that maybe had a grudge or something going on that isn't who dropped her off, and I'm not able to see anyone else. None of my readings have pointed to a stranger kidnapping or even a group involved that didn't know that didn't know group involved that she didn't know here. There's always a familiar aspect, a betrayal aspect, and someone who lost their cool, or so it seemed, but always had a plan in place. Several. I try to think of someone that became obsessed and planned this. But then my mind also goes to everything that doesn't make sense to make it a kidnapping. I had to take a break because with this case, my mind blocks out the channel. I start second guessing everything. I have only done this in this case because the narrative is so loud. What it's made to look like is overriding the original ping that I started questioning certain aspects, even in the EVPs. EVPs have named someone about 5 times, but they've also named Tina. Tina is someone that either stayed with her or was helping her out medically, and so my mind goes to, was it someone that Tina had staying there to help Nancy? A guest. But then I try to see someone and I'm not able to. Not only that, but it comes across as the person at the door was not a professional. And even if younger, no one wears a weapon that way. It was made to be seen that way, the way that it was, a prop, as previously stated. I said fake because I didn't think it was used. Usually people hide weapons. They aren't seen on camera if they don't need to be. At the end, I'll go into why stranger abduction doesn't make any sense in my understanding of the astrology, or actually I'm going to do that on another video because there's just too much for this one. But because other people are reading it differently and something in the video that's bugging me. Trying to pull the channel back in now, this case is just hard. It's the hardest case I think I've ever worked on because the pressure is so huge, the narrative is so loud. But in my last 13 years of doing this work, I have always taught or been taught by spirit and my mentors and what I teach to students to always trust the first ping. That is not easy to do in this case. I keep reminding myself of the first ping and say, well, that was before anyone knew anything, including myself. It can't be wrong. Then my mind goes to, well, did he hire someone, something to kidnap her, or I just can't see a kidnapping. Let me say that this case has made me question my abilities. There's a lot of fog, which makes sense with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces at the time still. Or I think they were going, I can't remember. I want to say they were still in Pisces moving into Neptune. Moving into Aries. But I'll go back to the channel now. So Spirit is taking me back a bit. I'm trying to let go of the doubt to see clearly and just give what I see. I see her again at the front door, nursing the bloody nose and dizziness, not understanding why I'm feeling this way. What's wrong? This person comes up to help me inside, acts concerned, acts like they're worried. But I'm flashed a supplement and then also a medication. So I don't know if she's been given a medication, if this has to do with her not taking her medication, or that she wasn't supposed to have something that night, maybe in her food or drink. This is not something that I've ever seen before. The feeling that is coming in now is that I see Nancy once she's entered the home at the counter, at the sink, trying to gain composure. For some reason, my eyes are blurry and I'm dizzy. I'm being made to see it again from her perspective in a way. Who is with me is getting a glass of water. I can hear the water being poured. They seem to be taking me back to 8:30, so it feels like maybe something happened earlier in the time frame that needs to be looked at more carefully. The timeline is off, and she was allegedly dropped off. In my opinion, I think she was dropped off earlier. The alibis are shakier than they're being portrayed because they're each other's alibis. There's a reference to her being at the counter with the sink kind of leaning over. This is where the conversation is taking place. One about what was going on, about boundaries, about Nancy finally putting her foot down as she's not feeling too well. It's like I'm seeing someone that comes in, seems caring, seems like they're worried, and then turns. Although this feels impulsive, and the more I get into the energy of it, in a way feels planned for a while, or thought about at least. But the energy of the moment, when everything changes, feels impulsive, but planned meticulously and methodically after the fact or in someone's mind. There's a plan in my head. I've always seen her sort of hit from behind. This is something that's coming in came in the beginning. This was part of the first ping that I got before anything came out on the second, 2 o'clock in the morning. I always get some sort of stroke like feeling, or at least that's what it feels like. I can see her crawling on the floor in a way they keep showing me this over and over again, like she's trying to crawl to the couch or a piece of furniture. There is a bit of struggle, or her stumbling around prior to this, where he was helpful, then not. I kind of wonder, and it's like I can see it again. This is why I think that it's right, because I can see it clearly. Like he's just walking like alongside of her, like no big deal as she's struggling. Allegedly. It's like I can feel this person slowly following me and standing over me, as if to just wait for the right moment. I can see Nancy slowly turning over, and this is when I feel like hands are on my throat and when the pillow over my face. Could she have been drugged, put in bed, and left to pass? Yes, but something turned due to what happened in the conversation. There was some sort of secret that was talked about. There was a confrontation, like, I know what you've been up to. Like, I know you've changed. I'm changing my will or whatever. Or he asked her for something and she said no. It feels like a bunch of different things. I know that you're stealing from me. I know that you have this issue, that issue. I don't know. There was another woman in the mix. The affair card had come in, so I also feel like, caretaker was around during the time Tina was. During that time, maybe there was things going on to try to help Nancy with her health. The thing that gets me is the list FBI is looking at, due to the gun or whatever reason they are. Tina came in the EVPs before this ever came out, so it had me trying to understand how that makes sense. And it's either a plan was developed with someone in the realm because they were owed, or it's being made to look that way. I tried to see Nancy just changing and getting into bed, and I couldn't. They also keep showing me untaken pills on the counter. I don't know if she had one of those pill things that people put the pills in to keep it straight, but she never forgot to take her meds. That is something that I am being made to understand. And that's something that everybody's like saying, no big deal. Oh, she's just old, she forgot. It was 15 minutes from the time she got home. Why wouldn't she take them? That doesn't make any sense. Especially since they were necessary. She never forgot to take her meds. Even if she was tired. Even if, I don't know if she had an alarm on her phone. Because I also feel like, I don't know why I see a phone that's slid under the couch too. That's another thing, and I don't know what this is. I don't know whose phone it is. I don't know what this is, but I'm seeing it. And so when I see it, I gotta say it. There certain PJs were taken. I had wondered if she was redressed, but that wouldn't need to happen if you just take her PJs with you. I don't know. I was seeing a SIM card, so I don't know if that has something to do with a camera. I don't know what that has to do. Not gonna guess. Just they were showing me a SIM card. I don't know if you can upload something on the SIM card to the cameras or what, but they were showing me that. I do feel this person, and I'm not saying names, y'all know who's being described. I'm just saying what I'm being shown, was into the dark underbelly in some of the ways he had gotten involved with certain groups or type of people. They keep taking me back to the timeline of maybe clubs or something that he was involved in Tucson. Underground type clubs, underground type people. It feels like the scene was left to look a certain way with Nancy tucked in bed. Now, before we knew any blankets were missing. I told you I saw her wrapped up in her tape. Now it's being said that there was blankets missing. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've been told. If so, tell me how that makes sense for a kidnapping. I feel Nancy still had blood on her head and her nose, and that's where the reference to her pillow for some reason. As much as the situation feels impulsive, it also feels like maybe he planned it in his head or thought about it. A plan that was being set into place and probably moved up in timeline once changes to things were being made. I think the original plan was something else. That might be why it feels that way. This always feels like I need something you have that I can't have when you're alive. Not just inheritance, but things that maybe they could have access to if she was gone. The idea may have come across when watching a movie or watching another case. Kidnappings are rare. Kidnappings on elders are even rarer. Does it happen? Yes, but it's much more quieter. A kidnapper may not even need to be seen if they can get in another way or take the camera to begin with. What is coming to my attention is why would only certain footage remain? And it happens to be of a masked man. Could it have been uploaded after things were smashed? I don't know. Heard you can do that? Not sure. I understand the FBI can recover things, but why only just that? Spirit is showing me a set of cards that I pulled every time together. They sometimes do this as symbolism. The couple card, the pack card, and the cult card. It feels as though the couple was behind this and the planning and whatnot. I don't know if it's Anne, but what bugs me about the flower drop off is it doesn't seem genuine. It seems over the top performative. Does that mean that people don't act that way? No, but it just doesn't sit right with me. I don't know why I'm hearing a truck, like a ladder type truck, but there's a group separate from the couple. Like, I don't know if they helped in the background or what this is, and because they don't always have to be physically there to be involved, right? And then the cult kept coming a belief system that TNA were involved in. The dark goth scene, but I keep getting another female that has blonde hair. I don't know if this is T's girlfriend or who she is or how she fits, but this the whole tech thing into Ocean's 11 style. I don't know if that's just the misdirection. I don't know if that's the whole jammer thing. I don't know if there's something pre-recorded. I'm not sure. I just know that it was a Ocean's 11 style. Something made to look like something it's not, basically. Or there might just be aspects of that movie, and that was the only way that they could describe it to me. But there are things in that video that bug me that I'll show you later. I mean, it could just be if you look at the bottom of the screen, there's like a mirroring effect. I mean, I guess that could be part of the camera. I've never seen that before. The shadows kind of look off. There's a glitch when he bends over and stands up. There's just little things. It could be nothing. Okay, there's so much you can do with AI now. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know anything about technology. So I don't know what can be done and what not with the know-how. You know what I mean? So someone had to use a jammer to upload a video or place the video to not be seen, or again, not be seen by cameras, whatever. I think there was maybe this one person who did it, but it's weird. I see him sitting in a vehicle down the road using a jammer. Let's not forget Ocean's 11 was stated by Spirit before there was ever a jammer theory out. When the person on camera was filmed, Ocean's 11 could just be things are not as they seem technically, and with the crime itself, either prior or that night. They are made to look like a scary intruder. There were things done to alter their appearance, to make it look like a group that was being framed or staged to look like. There is a group that was made off of, I don't know what this app is or some kind of aspect like that. I do feel Derek is involved allegedly in some way, promised Bitcoin for bringing in the group or sending the ransom notes, or he's involved in some way because he was owed Bitcoin. Not that it wasn't like threatening you, like give it to me. It was like I'm owed it, allegedly. It's more of like you owe me. And he's not a stranger. He ran in the same circles. Again, they wanted to be seen. They wanted the gun to be seen. The perp had to come back and make it look like 2 a.m. break-in. The jammer is what caused the disruption at 1, I think. She had like a disruption or pacemaker. Because that can cause interference. In case anybody doesn't know, electrical fence, a strong magnet, anything like that, a jammer can cause an interference in pacemaker. But this was made to look like a group, someone with inner knowledge of certain groups. This is not some conspiracy, and conspiracy is actually simpler than it seems. The confusion is what has been tripping me up, the video. The video makes it look like a scary kidnapper, but there are many things that also don't fit a regular kidnapping. There is a person connected to T that is from the underworld that is a part of that may have given him the idea or helped him. I feel again that things were made to look a certain way, to cause confusion, to cause misdirection. I can't get much on him other than he tends to have darker features. His hair is kind of a wave, but also may wear it spiky at times. I know it feels like there was a connection made through the new group that they had begun hanging with. The hair seems wavy to the side, but also spiky. He could wear it either way. He has facial hair, but has a mustache and sort of like a goatee. He feels mixed race, or at least not completely white. Tanner skin, but not like dark. There's a connection to music, band, DJ, tattoos, and piercings. I keep getting the name David for some reason. I keep wanting to call Derek David, so I feel like it's relevant. It keeps popping up every day. I get a reference to that name, whether it's this case or not, I don't know, but God put it out there. I think that he's one of those ride or dies that he may have had knowledge of technology, had gear that he brought in. There were many hours from the time that I feel this happened. And the astrology shows at the time it was made to look like a kidnapping. So there is some ties to this guy, and he has some sort of connections. I go the goth type area, that type of scene that they were hanging out with, and met that way. There is also money connection, gambling connection, possible drug ties, definitely weed. There is a star tat I keep getting in someone connected that feels close to the eye or on the face somewhere. There's knowledge of criminal minds from their past, someone who blends in well but also knows how to move and has wanted to make a point to make it look like cartel or some group, when in fact it's an inside job with misdirection. Taking back to the Ocean's 11, there was definitely an element of a jammer used, but there may be other technical glitches or things that are given to throw things off. The connection is to T and the ring of friends that may be sort of regularly known. I feel their friendship started last year around that August time frame. Michael does come in, and it keeps coming in, as well as the name Andy or Andrew. Keep in mind that names can be connections and sometimes tied to other cases. There's a doubling effect. I don't know if that means video or perps. The blonde woman that I see is older. She may have sort of a raspy voice. I don't know. There feels like I'll have your back, you have mine. There's something bigger to come out of this. Whatever T found in the house, stack of cash, or maybe Nancy hid it. I see him hand this guy a stack of cash. I don't know if it's connected the way he took or not. I'm not sure. I hear a louder truck. It feels neutral in color, maybe white. I don't think there was a whole group or a bunch of people out that night. I keep feeling maybe just one, or I'm not sure. I just know that I feel like in some way, some aspect, it's made to look another way, and someone may have helped with that. But again, I see possibly the blonde woman in the car with the jammer. What she sees, I don't know what she has. She has something. It may be parked out of view in an abandoned house nearby. The neighbors, it feels like a back way was used to get into the house originally when they came back, or whatever. I also keep getting something that she was put into something, maybe something easy to carry out. This man has not been a public eye. No one knows who he is, but he seems to hold connections of some sort. Maybe he knows how to handle criminal elements, make things disappear, was in it for the buddy system, and maybe even Bitcoin or money, whatever. But there is also a connection to Derek. So this is all tight, close circle. They all run in the same circles. There, where secrets are kept, deals are made, and he can't go back to prison or jail seems to tie in. Not Derek, this other person I'm describing. I don't know who he is. So there may be that this person has a criminal background. There is also things planted, maybe DNA. I feel that there was carefulness here, but they wanted to make the cops or whoever that saw the video, which has been worldwide, which they made sure it was all they seen. All the people seen was a masked guy, like, trying to break in. Make it look like the guy was an amateur, someone who acted like they didn't know the camera was there, that they had to improvise, all while putting a weapon in front where it could be seen clearly. It doesn't match the holster. There is a mismatch in the holster and the weapon. And I've always said it was like a fake prop of some sort, kind of like a play. Do you normally see kidnappers put themselves on camera when there is a back door open? Do you normally, or a way to get in through the back door that doesn't have a camera? Do you normally see them show you their weapon or wear it like that? Okay, I've heard cartel carry. Yeah, and that's the part of the misdirection. Again, chase this lead. I'm over here. I also feel like they won't be able to trace the backpack or shoes. They were either secondhand store from a homeless shelter or lost and from a homeless shelter's lost and found, or have had them for a while. That tattoo on the wrist feels like vines of some sort I was getting, and I kept seeing stars. So I don't know what that means, but the tattoo fills up the arm with some sort of vine. I also feel a sword at somewhere. I don't know. This man kind of metro feeling, but part of the cover. He could be called to do things because that's his world and because, well, he's friends. I'm hearing, do not believe everything that you see in this case. It's a mirage. People can make things look like anything. And when was the last time you saw the cartel kidnapping an old woman for what? And being seen on camera when they didn't need to be. There's a back door with no camera, and that's apparently open. Yet it was left open by someone for them. Music and the lifestyle ties them together. There's also initial A that I'm getting as well. Nothing is as it seems in this case. There are twists and turns, many traps. Honestly, that's all in the astrology. July is significant for some sort of anything happening in the case. I feel Nancy is close. I don't feel she's far. The feeling from driving around is that I started further and pulled myself in. Then I felt like I was leaving her. She's close on a property that was having renovations or constructions done. Interesting for those who didn't see, I was at a construction house down the street. I said I felt weird there. FBI went there the day after. That the chart, the cards, and my interpretation of what I see and feel is that Nancy is not in some far-off mountainous or desert, that she's right under everyone's nose, and a property that was easily accessible, known about, may be vacant. There's a red brick element to it, and it may be next to a gray-looking house. There's also the back of a property. Near the back, there is a deep dark down feeling, meaning that she is not seen, she is hidden, she is not easily uncovered. The back of my head is hurting with that. There may be a pool nearby. I don't know if it's the same property or the one by it. There may be a 5 or a 52 connected. This would have been, I feel, close in her community, or she wasn't taken too far, or to a far off location. She is local, hidden. There is, I don't know if it's a shed or another building by her. Maybe a tank of some sort. That could be water element, pipes nearby. It could have been open at the time. There may be a connections in some way, but the house, some way, but the house or area was known about, picked out, thought about carefully. I'm wondering if the truck or vehicle was parked next door house in the driveway, because I feel like I park close in a house that's not occupied and then I walk through the back. There things were done, and then I don't know if he was picked up or what. This isn't clear. 35 is another number that keeps coming in. Palm trees, I know what Nancy had, could be in another property as well, but she's literally under everyone's nose. But the issue is there's no equipment being used like ground penetrating radar, but her body is hidden well in a hard to access type of location. It has to be tight radius in that community or close. She's expected to be far, but she's not. She's expected to be in desert or mountains, but it's not coming in that way. I've had an issue seeing her because she's in a very dark place, something that isn't easy to read or understand, and this is combining my cards, my visions, and the astrology. It all aligns. I know I'm probably the only one saying this. I've been before anyone was looking this direction, but it's the right direction because they don't want her found due to what it will show. The whole reason she was taken out of the house was to take pressure off of who was last with her, to cause the misdirection and the rabbit holes in other directions. I'm hearing this whole case is built on a lie, and what's being overlooked is how someone can turn from trusted to impulsive when their livelihood is at risk of being lost or changed. There was a lot to lose here, and desperation, unfortunately, can make people act out of character. But I still feel that someone is dual-natured, and you are not seeing who they truly are. They're good at hiding, manipulating, and just because someone seems docile and puts a facade doesn't mean you're seeing who they truly are. Anyone is capable of anything. There are connections that were used those kinds to ask no questions, and I'll get what I'm going to get out of it. I do see a for sale sign, so I don't know if it's a house that was having updates or constructions done to it that is now for sale or will be. Not only the inheritance, there was something that no one is aware of that Nancy had that they will now have, and it's not being missed because no one knew about it. And it could be valuables, but I also feel cash. Honestly, I still think there's missed evidence at the house, but I do feel like a lot of what was done, cleaning, smashing, taking things, it all had to look like Nancy was kidnapped in the middle of the night because of who she and Savannah were. They wanted it to look like, oh, the cartel came and got him. Oh, this group came and got him. Oh, this happened. That's what it had to look like, so that everyone will look in a far off distances and far off locations and far off people instead of where they need to. I'm also seeing a white SUV. I don't know why I'm getting lots of white vehicles, but it does feel like there is maybe someone owns multiple vehicles, or it could be clues to something else. He's showing me a bunch of crows flying, and when I went to go look up the symbolism, I heard him say a murder, and that's the kind of his style to show it in a way and say, and I was like, well, then duh. This is like my dream in a way. Everyone has walked around her. They have more than likely already searched the area, the house that they need to circle back. So it may be someone else's pool house or shed, I'm not sure, but I also feel like you can lift something up. So I don't know what that would be, but she's under. So if a pool was put in somewhere, or what that is, not really sure, or that it's going to be, but it's a place that they could easily put her clothes and nothing to see because no one was there. And this guy already had a jammer. He may have had robbery or burglary charges in his background, having the equipment, knowing how to get in and out, knowing how to be seen to make it look a certain way. There's also a dark color vehicle. I can see a bluish color, a dark blue off the lights of the street, like when it's driving. It's shown to me like when you're driving and when the light hits it, you can see the blue. It looks darker. It's weird. It has like that sparkly color to it for some reason. I don't know if they're just showing me that, so I'll pay attention. But it feels like this person was blending in. They again knew when to go, and this is the cleanup movement. But yeah, it's not a kidnapping. It never was. That has always been the misdirection. I'll show you in the astrology, in my perspective, why. Also, getting the name Jerry, just also Gary came in the EVP, but just please hang on to the names. They can fit anywhere. He says sometimes it's the most obvious and you need to look no further. Oftentimes it is the closest to us that need to be put under the microscope. He says, I would tell you it's a stranger. It's not. I'm getting the Iranian flag, and I don't know what that means. If it's just the race of the person who I'm describing, or that's just being a perceived, or the connection. I do know that we got Tina and the EVPs before it was ever known, but I don't know the connection. That's what is kind of making me spiral. It may be the race of the guy that helped or connected in some way. There's some kind of Tucson club that this guy connects to, and it has red writing. Can't make it out, but it would be a known hangout for you know who. They run in the same circles. The woman may connect to him actually, but I still think there was an affair going on at some point. And I keep getting a circle. So I don't know this like circle back, a circle street, what this is. I also feels maybe on the way out, like the way out of the area. Not sure about that. When I was there, I had a hard time seeing what was being under construction and what wasn't. But he shows me the investigation is wide but needs to be brought in, like into a closer radius, into a closer circle. There's an element of obsession, but it's more over money or dealing with people getting off his back or a lifestyle. I don't know what he was into, what he owed, and this guy could be a part of that as well. It may be why I'm seeing black on the nails as someone may be into more goth stuff, may wear, I don't know, spiky collar. I know that sounds weird, but that's what I see. So I don't know if there's two versions, like one where he looks normal and the one like he looks when he goes out. I mean, that's kind of what it feels like dressing the part of going out to those places, like two versions. And then the 5-pointed star and a flag. So maybe practices Wicca. Everything basically is below the horizon on the astrology, so everything is hidden right now. And I don't know why I was seeing a mountain lion in my mind's eye. I saw the same one last week. It is a quiet, controlled, deliberate action, not something loud and chaotic. That's the mountain lion. Symbolizes maybe someone who operates alone or independently, who doesn't draw attention in their daily life, who blends into surroundings, and who is comfortable in familiar territory. They're connected to edges, not open spaces, transitions between areas, hidden movement, paths, and places where something can happen without being seen. This was carried out in a quiet, controlled, and calculated way, not a chaotic or random. I also feel like someone scrubbed their fingernails and maybe scrubbed hers. That's coming in, like cleaning their fingernails, a cleaning of the scene in general. I also feel someone came home, took a shower. I feel like there was a controlled cover-up afterwards. There are actors in a show. I somehow feel there's planted DNA. I don't know if that's possible, but I've always gotten false flag DNA, which I do think the original glove was, which we said here before, but there may be more. If you want to send people in another direction, you do things to make sure that happens. Fake ransom notes, forgetting to take her medication. Nancy didn't walk out with kidnappers. She could barely walk. I'd be curious if her cane was still there or a mobility device. And this isn't part of the reading, but I want to draw your attention to two things. One, there's any movement on the camera, there's notification. Doesn't matter if you pay for it or not. It should have been set up for an 84-year-old alone. And two, family allegedly went to the house and there was blood at the door and they waited an hour to call police. Is that weird to anybody else? If I saw blood and my mom was missing, I sure wouldn't wait an hour. Just saying. It doesn't make any sense. And you know, she was taken away from the house at 2:20. That's why everything disconnected. The watch was left there. So I think that's it for the channeling. I've been at this for a couple days. Start, stop, juice the noise and second guessing. But I went step by step over the astrology today and it made my mind quieter and trust what I'm getting. So I will break that down for you as well, so that you can understand. And also there are a few cards that I pulled. This is my interpretation and this is what I'm shown. It's not factual. But I want to go over the cards real quick. I'm feeling kind of nauseous right now. I guess it's just ungrounded. Unfortunately, I'm still trying to get my energy back. I actually made some new cards today, but I don't feel like shuffling them right now. I might do that at the end. I already pre-pulled these, and I'm just going to tell you what they are, because I don't feel good all of a sudden. Lies, deception, and potential cover-up. A closer observation at the victim's living space may provide clues. Victim or victim's family was familiar with the killer. Premeditated murder. Killer planned out the details in advance. Contamination of DNA evidence may be influencing the case. Important detail, and we know that's true. Important details are not being revealed to the public at this time. A friend knows something. This crime will be solved in the distant future. It's not anytime soon. Additional evidence is at the crime scene, which I've already stated, and perpetrator has behavioral patterns of a serial killer. So that's just behavioral patterns, not that they necessarily are. And this is a new deck. This is the missing variables. I thought it was interesting because the first couple that I pulled ended up totally matching what I was feeling today. I actually pulled quite a bit of these. Let me see. Make sure I got them all. So it was conflict in the spotlight. This is clashing motives and public outcry. Heated debate over police misconduct or corruption. That's like legit happening right now with, I guess, nanos. So that's sort of interesting. I don't know why I can see better without my glasses up front now. Public protest tied to controversial verdict. A journalist expose sparking public outrage, conflicting motives among suspects, creating chaos, the ethics of ambition in a high-profile case, rivalries between investigative terms or journalists, and the clash of truth and misinformation in media. Tensions rise as hidden agendas emerge. So that's very on point. The weight of headlines when the media shapes the narrative. Another on point. The global impact of a groundbreaking investigation. The resolution of a case that shook the world, a major trial verdict delivering closure or controversy, ambition leading to justice or destruction, systematic change brought about by relentless pursuit of truth, final revelations that rewrite history, a scandal's far-reaching consequences finally addressed, the legacy of innovation, ambition, and justice. Again, on point. This is the mastermind, the strategic power in pursuit of justice. You have somebody that's an untouchable ruler, controls a vast empire, making the rules and enforcing them. Iron fist, criminal mastermind, a genius in orchestrating operations and covering his tracks. Pulls the strings in both legal and illegal affairs with ease. Will sacrifice anyone for the advancement of his empire. Hides in plain sight, often evading justice while orchestrating this type of crime. So that reminds me of someone. Betrayal unveiled. Trust shattered, leaving chaos in its wake. A love triangle that holds the key to the mystery. I said there's some kind of affair. That also came in the cards. A scandalous affair with devastating consequences. 3 players with intertwined motives. And the emotional fallout of high-profile betrayal. Jealousy, passion led to shocking actions. And it's not with Nancy. It's just something that she knew, I think. Tangled emotions obscure the truth. The voice of justice, shining light in the darkness. So, master of the game, uses both charm and strategy to control operations. Dual personality, a public figure with carefully curated image and a much darker, secretive side. Calculated risk taker. Public perfectionist. Queen of secrets. That's interesting. I don't really know how to read these cards. I'm just reading what's on them. They're kind of confusing, honestly. The investigator's haven and solid foundation for cracking the case. A stable foundation for a case is built on multiple critical clues. Gridlock between legal terms for investigators. Key witnesses collaborating, a single story, building public pressure on a controversial trial. Organizing chaos and global investigation. Multiple major players involved. Competing headlines, creating a tangled narrative. That's what's happening right now. Trust me. Heart of the scandal, personal lives exposed in a sensational public spectacle. The aftermath of a scandal with widespread emotional ruptures. A dramatic conclusion shaped by human connections and resolution and healing after emotional devastation. The Avenger's path, a victim's relentless pursuit of justice fuels the story. Deep emotional truths come to the surface. Hidden motives tied to matters of love and loyalty. Heartfelt connections reveal hidden layers of the story. The Confidant, personal connection. A trusted figure with a deep personal tie to the case, offering insight or completing the truth. And we've talked about that there's a silent witness out there somewhere. So that kind of just validates that. Cross agendas, allies or adversaries. So a choice between fortune and integrity, partnerships tainted by greed,
balancing ambition with morality, 2 paths to power, 1 honest and 1 corrupt. The fatal decision. An informant with critical knowledge comes forward. A hidden agenda shapes the unfolding case. The burden of the knowledge carried the secrecy. A long-kept secret finally exposed. That all validates what I just said. Emotional crossfire, caught between love, revenge, and justice. The emotional toll of the case comes to light. A tragic story of love turned to heartbreak. Grief and anger fuel the search for justice, in a case shaped by the loss of someone beloved. The bittersweet intersection of hope and despair. Painful truths surface from emotional depths and the ripple effect of a personal tragedy. Boy, that's accurate too. Crimes of passion. An emotional trigger sets the case into motion. Secrets hidden in intimate relationships comes to light. The passion behind uncovering the truth and the human side of the larger investigation. Emotions spark revelation and unexpected twists. A heartfelt plea for justice breaks through barriers. We've seen that with Savannah. A personal connection drives the investigation. Affairs of interest, high-stakes scandals entangled in personal relationships. A choice with far-reaching emotional consequences, torn between duty and personal feelings, love as both motive and a means of redemption, and the emotional tipping point in a complex investigations. Decisions shaped by the human need for connection and the intersection of emotion and morality in a case. A suspect's motive driven by love or desperation. Sounds like more accuracy. Shadow operatives. So a shocking twist reveals hidden truths. The case takes an unexpected and complex turn. Reflection in the past influenced the present. The facade of an innocent shatters completely. There you go. Stories contradict, creating a chaotic narrative. New perspectives reveal unseen angles, and the consequences of actions ripple outwards. That validates. A spark of discovery. Breaking news, a new lead emerges, a fresh tip or anonymous source, the first piece of evidence in a cold case, whistleblower reveals crime-changing information. Ambitious plan to uncover the truth, a bold theory under scrutiny, or spark of opportunity in the face of chaos. The genius of a controversial investigation. And the Joker, light and shadow, complexity and morality, the clash between perception and reality in the court of public opinion, the unpredictable human spirit, scandals highlighting the moral complexity of public figures, stories of redemption or downfall in the face of public scrutiny, and the struggle between justice and corruption in the high-profile cases and social systems. In the dance of light and shadow, we are both the sinner and the saint. Redemption and the ruin lie in the choices we make. And the last one is the smoking gun. The first clue emerges from the darkness. A trail of evidence leads to new discoveries. Hidden truths begin to surface. A shocking revelation changes everything. First whispers of cover-up or conspiracy. The spark of an intense investigation, and shadows give way to illumination. So all those are pretty accurate with what I feel and what's happening now and all that. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, I'm not feeling great now, so it's been a lot. It's been a lot to cut through the noise and try to get clarity on the case and try not to question myself and everything because of what is visible and like what doesn't make sense, right? Because, you know, I had to go over the astrology, which I will share with you piece by piece, and the way that I'm understanding it, the way it was explained to me, that there's not any kidnapping elements in the chart. And people are ignoring the 9th house, or not the 9th house, the 7th house at the 9:45. The 7th house is the most active at 9:45 in the chart in Aries, which is impulsive, and that's what who was with her at 9:45. And then everything else seems to be cover up after that. That's what the chart's showing. I've seen astrologers saying, oh, the 2nd house, but if you use whole sign, there's nothing in the 2nd house. And the 2nd house isn't really used in kidnapping terms. There would be an active 12th house, 9th house, from my understanding, and there's not any of that. And I don't know if astrologists are reading off of the narrative instead of looking at 9:45. They're also looking at 2:28. This is why it's confusing to me, why I'm seeing so many different things. But that is the chart. The chart is a lot of different confusing theories and narratives and all kinds of stuff. So I will go into that. It's going to be a lot, but it's going to be like step by step so that you understand it the way that I understood it. So that's what I need to go through today to like finish this, because I could not stop my thoughts. Well, what if it's this? What if it's that? That's part of the chart and the misdirection, I think. I think that's just the way that this case is. And it makes everything really freaking foggy. So just reading that, I feel off. But so I'm adding this on too. I made these cards. And so I wanted to validate, because I was having a hard time like going back and forth. Do I want to release this? Do I not want to release it? Like everything was so vivid, but like, you know, so I have these cards that I made like specific to be like straight to the point, to be kind of like validation cards. And it basically validates the whole reading. So the first card was private restricted area. Then we have secrets. And I find that interesting because that came in the EVP, but also in the reading. So it was like secrets and a fight, like a fight over secrets. Not what it appears. Construction, altered ground. Authority, trusted role. Which that would be, he's an authority figure, trusted role. Chasing the wrong trail. This is everybody else. Stick to the first impression. See, this is like, has little notes in here for me too, because I tend to question everything. So this is telling me to stick to my first impression, which was during that live. Secondary structure, shed, detached area. Single actor. This is simpler than it seems. Control power. Delay after event. So this would match the timeline from my understanding of the astrology that I'm going to try to get released today, to validate everything. And I might actually pull some more cards to add to this, but it would be that something happened at 9:45 and this is the delay after. An act. Interruption, escalation. That could be when she was dropped off. 2 parts. So something that happened and then something that was hidden. Knows more than they say. Assisted after the fact. Financial resource linked. So interestingly enough, I didn't re-pull any of them this time. And that's what came out. So I find that very, very interesting, and I shuffled for a long time. Okay, now I just wanted to pull my cards real quick, see if I got kind of the similar cards or that I could validate my reading, because I'm one that needs like multiple validations. Like everything has to line up, or I will second guess and question everything. So we have burned. I think this is symbolic. Unless there was some kind of chemical or something, like she can't be literally burned. This is what I keep trying to tell people. When I saw her chart, it could be symbolic, but she had a literal battery in her. So I'm not sure exactly what this means. This card can actually be symbolic, like she was burned, like someone screwed her over. But it could also involve some kind of toxins or something. It could be evidence that was burned, but she couldn't be unless, you know. Drowning. So this is like in her lungs, I think fluid. Disoriented. This would align with the reading as far as seeing her disoriented. What was happening. And actually today Tracy told me that there was blood in the kitchen, which I had no idea about, and so that jived with my reading and my visions. So I was like, okay, I don't know how true that is, because everything is mixed up, and you have them say that there was a struggle and stuff inside, and when I saw it, not saying it was a crazy struggle, but there was things knocked down, could have been picked up, whatever, but they keep changing shit, so who knows what's true or not. But that's what she told me, and I said, well, that jives with what I saw before I knew, so I'm gonna keep going. DNA. And DNA can be like yeah, we already know that there's DNA. We know there's DNA issues. We know there's DNA evidence. In spirit, family member, foul play. Beaten, obsession, false ally, which is somebody you should be able to trust, but you can't. Like, they show you two sides. So it's somebody that secretly misleads or undermines or may offer help while hiding their role in harm. Jealousy, which we've gotten before. And overdose. I find this interesting. I've gotten two different kinds of cards that have to do with medications, drugs, things like that. Like, again, if you go back to the auto rates, this basically, it doesn't necessarily mean that's how she passed away, but there was maybe extra drugs in her system, or they were giving her something. Truck driver, transport. This is somebody that helped transport. Remember, I kept hearing a truck. Doesn't mean that they're necessarily a truck driver, but this is also transport. So driver, transport. That's how I'm taking this card. And somebody transported her. I think that this can go for somebody felt abandoned in her life, and they're an adult. Okay. I think that she did fall during what was going on. There's anger, rage, which would align with the original, what would align with the auto rate. Organized crime, which doesn't mean connected to the cartel or anything. It can mean this is very organized. The way that this happened, it has everybody thinking, going down different trails. This is very organized crime. Power and control, yet again, always get that card. Authority figure, yet again, the second time in my cards, held against their will, that symbolically she couldn't go anywhere. Digital footprint, again, the pack card I always pull. So 3 involved in some way, shape, or form. Doesn't mean they're all there, but according to my reading, and there feels like there's different connections everywhere. Like, I keep getting like lines drawn everywhere. I don't know. Again, there's multiple motives in this. And then poisoning. This goes back to what I saw about her being given something. And this could have been for a while, but I feel like that night she was given something. I don't know, because this feels so, like I said, I don't know if they just wanted to give her that and have her go home or whatever, because this feels like impulsive. So, you know, maybe they could have gave her something again, like they kind of always did, and wasn't working fast enough, but she also confronted him with things and it enraged him. So that's why. But I still think there was something in her system given to her, whatever, going from the very vivid visions that I don't think I made up. Protection of oneself in this. So again, secrets were known, things were known. It wasn't just money motivated. There were secrets. There was other motivations. There was other motives, multiple motives in this. The cult card, again, this is people that are connected into one unit, right? They're all have the same belief system, shared system. It's like a group of people. Okay. It means influence by a collective identity that surrenders, suppresses truth, individuality, or dissident. I always get this card. The louder the chant, the harder it is to hear your own voice. So I don't know if he was being like driven by something, a belief system or whatever. Not everything is as it seems. We always get this card. So this is basically, there's more beneath the surface of what appears straightforward may have been shaped, altered, or misinterpreted. Spirit calls attention to illusion and misdirection at play, which we've already spoken about. I always get this card. Truth isn't always loud. Spirit shows what was disguised in plain sight. Now, I'm just going to do these really quick. These are just my validation things after the auto rate. I don't know if this is going to be the last thing that I do, because it may. I'm not sure. I need to move on to other cases and do other things. There's only so much energy you can put into a case before you can't get anything else, or there's no more energy to be tapped at the time, and things will play out as they're supposed to. Everything has karma, free will, timing, all of that. There's only so much we're going to get. So I'm going to ask the rods. Now, rods are an extension of the user. If you have, I try my hardest to be as clear-minded as I can, and I'm going to say I have no feelings about it before I start, but I'm just going to ask a few questions here just for validation. And again, I don't know how accurate rods are, honestly. Again, they're an extension of the user. They can be wrong, okay? So I have no personal feelings towards anything right now. I'm clear-minded, and I just need to ask, first, let me ask, am I a female? Am I a female? I was holding them a little too tightly. Okay, yes. Is Zook black? No, as you guys know, he's white. Okay, am I a male? No. Okay, so let me just ask a question. Is the channeling that I did with Ted accurate? Okay, so are the way that I saw things correct? So are the details that I saw correct? They're not of my mind. Is not everything as it seems? So I should go by my first impression. Okay. All right, so I just wanted to do that. I wanted to ask a simple question with that. So, all right, that's it for now. Thank you guys. Make sure that you like, subscribe. I hope that was understandable. I just can only give you what I'm shown and describe it to you, and that's the way, that's what I was shown. So I don't know if that's someone connected that helped or what. That's the way that I took it, but I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time.